meeting virtually through a streaming service on our June 8th Garrett County Board of Education meeting. This time I would like to ask each of us to stand for a moment of silence to be followed by the pledge led by our student member to the board, Garrett Miller. We'll do that.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jared. There has been an agenda change from the printed agenda. The change will be that our student member of the board, Garrett, will have an address following the adoption of the agenda, and we'll move the student member report on to the board about the what's going on in our system. That'll be moved to the public comment section following the announcements and closed session summaries. So with that being said, that change to the printed agenda, I'll take a motion to adopt the agenda. So moved by Jason.
Second.
Seconded by Monica. Any discussion about the agenda? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. And that will be the change to the agenda. So, Jared, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, President Woods. Not gonna dawdle tonight, but I would like to say, first of all, thank you to the board for an incredible year of service and supporting me throughout that year of service, and what a year it's been. If you'll recall, last July, about just short of a year ago, I was a lot like Leah here, got ready to go into a new endeavor. If this was I often said to my friends and my parents that if this was a classroom, it would be one of the most educational ones in GCPS. And at that first meeting, I pledged to make every action that I ever took in this capacity with the best interest of the students at heart. And I believe that in that endeavor, we have been successful. And it has not been easy. We've had quite the year. It goes without saying, we've been in, even the function of this meeting yet, from Zoom to, of course, our favorite home here in the board office. So I'll just summarize by saying, first of all, to the board, thank you for believing in me. Thank you for selecting me. Thank you for your continued confidence. And thank you for a year of service together. To the students, I encourage you all to dream as big as possible, be inspired by the successes of your predecessors, and learn from their mistakes. And I say to Garrett County and to Leah Wills here, we've left you in incredible hands of an incredibly talented young woman who will be 10 times my predecessor. And with that, I'll hand it over to you. And I wish you well in your year of service. And I wish you all well as you finish out your terms.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything you've done at all our meetings. You've had lots of insights I'm sure we would not have seen. So we appreciate all those insights, Jared. Thank you.
Thank you. You like college.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, we need to move on to the approval of the May 11th public session minutes. Oh, I'm sorry, we got to do that too first, right? I'm sorry.
It wasn't on the printed copy.
Yeah. It wasn't on mine.
It's on the board document.
Yeah, right. Okay, the consent agenda. I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve.
So moved by Matthew, seconded by Jason. We do have a motion and a second for the consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. And the consent agenda is approved.
Thank you.
Now we can move to the May 11th minutes. Take a second. Are there any questions, concerns, or corrections with the minutes?
Just one, pursuant to section 3-306B5 of the General Provisions Article of the Maryland Code, I move that a portion of the executive session minutes from the May 11th, 2021 meeting relating to the investment of public funds be unsealed and made open to the inspection immediately at such time said funds are invested.
Thank you, Jason. Yeah, as a part of the investment of funds, we need to unseal those. The motion to unseal the portion of executive minutes relates to the May 11th use of funds that we did for insurance purposes. So there has been a motion to be amended the minutes with that motion. There is a second by Matthew to amend the minutes to include that motion. Those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. We now have the May 11th public session minutes amended. We need a motion, which is made by Matthew. We need a second.
Second.
Second by Monica to accept the amended minutes. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The amended minutes are approved. Thank you for that, each of you. Approval of the May 25th public session minutes. Any corrections, additions? Hearing none, take a motion to adopt May 25th. Jason, motion by Jason, seconded by Monica. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of adopting the public session minutes of May 25th, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. And the minutes are adopted. And the superintendent will now give us the closed session summaries and announcements.
Okay, the Board of Education met an executive session on Tuesday, May 11th, 2021 at 3:03 p.m. under Authority 3-305 of the General Provisions Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland to discuss the following items. Review of executive session minutes, personnel topics pursuant to 3-305B1, investment of funds pursuant to 3-305B5, negotiation topics pursuant to 3-305B9, and administrative function topics. Jason Van Sickle made a motion to move to executive session, and Monica Rinker seconded the motion. Thereafter, the board unanimously voted to close the session with a yea vote from Rodney Glotfelty, Monica Rinker, Matthew Paul, and Jason Van Sickle. The topics discussed in the closed session included the following. Executive session minutes. Rodney Glotfelty made a motion to approve the April 13th, 2021 executive session minutes. Jason Van Sickle seconded the motion. Final resolution. Motion carried with yea votes from Monica Rinker, Rodney Glotfelty, Matthew Paul, and Jason Van Sickle. Personnel. FY 2022 student member of the board. The board met with the FY 21-22 student member of the board, Ms. Leah Wilt, and Ms. Stephanie Wazlowski, supervisor of English Language Arts and Social Studies. Certificated staffing. The board discussed the recommended certificated staffing. The board also reviewed recent non-certificated staffing updates. The board took action on the certificated staffing recommendations in the public session. Negotiations, GASA meeting request. The board discussed a meeting request from the Garrett County Board of Administrators and Supervisors Association, GASA. The board did not take action on this topic. Salary parameters. Dr. Willison and Mrs. Schweitzer presented revised salary parameters to the board for their consideration. Matthew Paul made a motion to approve the salary parameters, and Jason Van Sickle seconded the motion. Motion carried with yea vote 3-1, with yea votes from Monica Rinker, Matthew Paul, and Jason Van Sickle. Nay vote from Rodney Glotfelty. Consideration of proposed contract language. All bargaining groups. Dr. Willison and Mrs. Schweitzer shared proposed contract language changes for the 4 bargaining groups. The board considered this information but did not take any action on this topic. Investment of funds, liability, insurance bid award. Mrs. Schweitzer presented information on investing in the Maze insurance pool. The board will take action on this topic in public session. Administrative function. The board discussed various administration function topics. The board considered these topics but did not take any action on these items. Recess. The board recessed the executive session at 7 p.m. to open the public session. The board returned to executive session at 10:50 p.m. to continue administrative function topic discussion. Jason Van Sickle made a motion to close executive session, and Matthew Paul seconded the motion. Motion carried with yea votes from Monica Rinker, Rodney Glotfelty, Matthew Paul, and Jason Van Sickle. The executive session ended at 11:32 p.m. Mr. Tom Woods, Board President, Mrs. Monica Rinker, Board Vice President, and Board members, Mr. Rodney Glotfelty, Dr. Matthew Paul, and Mr. Jason Van Sickle were in attendance. Also in attendance for part or all of the meeting were Mrs. Barbara Baker, Superintendent, Mr. Brandon Hoover, Attorney, Mrs. Karen DeVore, Executive Director of Curriculum Instruction Administration, Dr. Jane Wilderson, Director of Human Resources, Mrs. Allison Schweitzer, Director of Finance, Dr. Nicole Miller, Director of Early Childhood and Elementary Education, and Mrs. Karen Brewer, Executive Assistant to the Superintendent. The board met in executive session on Tuesday, May 25th, 2021 at 4:09 p.m. virtually under Authority 3-305 of the General Provisions Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland to discuss personnel topics pursuant to 3-305B1 and negotiation topics pursuant to 3-305B9. Jason Van Sickle made a motion to go into executive session, and Matthew Paul seconded the motion. Final resolution, motion carried with yea votes for Monica Rinker, Rodney Glotfelty, Matthew Paul, and Jason Van Sickle. Rodney Glotfelty made a motion to approve the agenda, and Jason Van Sickle seconded the motion. Final resolution, motion carried with yea votes for Monica Rinker, Rodney Glotfelty, Matthew Paul, and Jason Van Sickle. The topics discussed in closed session included the following: personnel pursuant to 3-305B1, certificated staffing. Dr. Jane Wilderson, Director of Human Resources and Employee Relations, presented certificated staffing to the board for their consideration. The board voted on the certificated staffing recommendations in the public session as part of the consent agenda. So Dr. Wilderson also shared non-certificated staffing with the board. The board did not take action on that item. Student social media, the board discussed concerns regarding a post that a student posted on social media. Negotiation topics pursuant to 3-305B9, salary parameters. Mrs. Schweitzer and Dr. Wilson provided an update to the board regarding the blueprint legislation. They provided recommended salary parameters based on the new timeline requirements. Rodney Glotfelty made a motion to approve the recommended parameters, and Monica Rinker seconded the motion. Final resolution, motion carried with yea votes for Monica Rinker, Rodney Glotfelty, Matthew Paul, and Jason Van Sickle. Adjourned. Matthew Paul made a motion to close the meeting, and Jason Van Sickle seconded the motion. Final resolution, motion carried with yea votes for Monica Rinker, Rodney Glotfelty, Matthew Paul, and Jason Van Sickle. The board adjourned the executive session at 8:39 p.m. Mr. Tom Woods, Board President, Mrs. Monica Rinker, Board Vice President, and Board members Mr. Rodney Glotfelty, Dr. Matthew Paul, and Mr. Jason Van Sickle were in attendance. Also in attendance for part or all of the meeting were Ms. Barbara Baker, Superintendent, Dr. Jane Wilderson, Director of Human Resources, Mrs. Allison Schweitzer, Director of Finance, and Ms. Karen Brewer, Executive Assistant to the Superintendent.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Now you can continue with the announcement.
All right, so the announcements. Today was the last day for students. Tomorrow is the last day for teachers, the professional day. June 15th, we have a Return to Learn check-in meeting with the Swan Meadow community at the Pleasant Valley Community Center at 6:30 p.m. June 15th through 17th is a summer program curriculum development for pre-K through 8th grade teachers. June 17th is a May Board Service Academy on Ethics. It's virtually 9:30 to 12:30 p.m. June 21st through 30th is the high school summer programming. June 29th is another May Board Service Academy, Communications and the Role of a Board Member, virtually 9:30 to 12:30. July 5th is a holiday, as July 4th is a Sunday. All offices will be closed. July 13th is our next board meeting in the central office, 6 p.m., public session. July 12th through 16th and July 19th through 23rd, summer learning camps for elementary and middle school students at Accident and Broadford Elementary Schools, 9 to 2 p.m. with breakfast and lunch provided. Transportation will also be provided, and we will begin our summer compressed schedule on Monday, June 14th, and continue through August 20th with regular work hours to resume August 23rd. We'll be working 4/10 for all 12-month employees and certificated employees.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Also, I guess we could announce to our meeting that we've scheduled for the 24th, our board meeting for the 24th of June. We will have a second meeting this month, that will be a virtual meeting, 8 p.m. There'll be more about that as we get closer to that date.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, your turn.
All righty.
We now have our alternate to our student member to the board, Ms. Leah Wilt, who's going to give us the final update for this school year, and she will come back again next month as a student member to the board. So, welcome, Leah.
Thank you very much.
Nice
Thanks
to have
for
you.
having me. So I'll keep this one pretty short since we're nearing the end. The general consensus for the student attitude today was that we're ready for summer. It's been a tough year, but I'm very proud of everyone who's been able to make it through. So the Garrett County Association of Student Councils held its last General Assembly for this year on Tuesday, May 25th. of 2020. During our meeting, we elected our executive board members for the 2021 through 2022 school year. Those elected for the positions of president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, and first vice president include, in corresponding order, Sarah Hulskamp, Sophia Brown, myself, Leah Wilt, Laura Hulskamp, and Ainsley McHenry Sorber. The mental health campaign was expanded upon through workshops centered around empathy and breaking the stigma surrounding mental health in our communities. We also brainstormed new projects and initiatives to bring to the next school year. This included shifting the focus in our mental health campaign towards bullying prevention, new fundraisers, and improving communication between the southern and northern ends of the county and our student councils. At the middle and high school level, our student councils have held elections for the upcoming school year and completed teacher, staff, and student appreciation activities. Northern High School hosted a field day with kickball tournaments and inflatables to celebrate the closing of the school year. Southern High School gave treats and other gifts to teachers, cafeteria staff, and janitorial staff to recognize their hard work during this extraordinary year. And I want to say a big congratulations to all students who completed AP or standardized testing this year. It was online, it was digital, it was very different from all the years past, and I think it's a really great thing that we were able to push through and still complete those things as though it was a normal year. And also a very big congratulations to all of our 2021 graduates and everyone who completed the school year and those who persevered. And on behalf of the student body, I want to thank all of our board members, our janitorial staff, our teachers, our parents, anyone who was in our corner for this year. It meant a lot. We all worked very hard to make sure that we could keep our education at the same standard as in a normal year. And it went about as best as it could go. So thank you all for everything that you've done this year and anyone who's watching.
Thank you, very well said. Now, any comments, questions for Leah?
Thank you, Leah.
Yeah, it's
All right, thank you all.
been a tough year. We appreciate everything everyone. And we look forward to seeing you again next month.
Yes, see you soon.
Before you know it. Okay, we're going to move on to recognitions. I think the first recognition we're going to do is the Southern Garrett Envirothon, fourth place in the state championships. I think we have a number of students here to share in that celebration. Dr. Paul will make the presentation.
Move around in there, in front of the screen. All right.
Welcome. So tonight we are pleased to honor the Southern Garrett High School Envirothon team, the Southern Stoneflies. They placed 4th out of 51 teams in the state Envirothon, I have trouble with that word, competition. The competition is normally a hands-on competition, but was switched to completely virtual competition this year, and that added new obstacles for the students, but they persevered. Spent a lot of time outside of school preparing for this competition, as well as staying after school to participate. And this team has worked together for the past 4 years, and each year has improved, and placing 4th is the best they've done. And so we're proud of you guys for that great accomplishment, so congratulations. I have some certificates to recognize each individual here. So we have 4 seniors, 2 juniors, and then the coach, Aaron Kaufman, who's here as well. But Jalen Beeman, Joe Brown, Alex Schofield, Ryan Spencer, Olivia Casada, and one for Aaron. Have any words? Anyone want to tell us about what you did in this marathon?
So in Envirothon, we normally compete in 5 topics, but this year it was narrowed down to 4 just to make it easier since it was virtual. We compete in aquatics, soils, wildlife, and forestry. Yeah, we had an interesting time this year with it being virtual, just because we are so used to being fortunate enough to have a very hands-on experience at the 4-H Center. But we did the best that we could, and we're definitely glad to have been able to do a lot of hands-on stuff in the past, which really helped us with the virtual competition this year.
Great. Congratulations.
Great work.
I know you want to say something. He looks like he's a super person. Well, I'm very proud of this group. They've worked very hard, and like support. Like this year was, you know, it was a strange year to begin with, so, but they persevered. Fourth and state is pretty big deal for us, so we're pretty excited.
That's great.
Thank you so much. Sarah here, we'll want to get a picture. We have our official photographer.
But it was online, the competition was your time?
Yes, I have a time limit.
Okay.
Some of you guys wanna come?
Yeah.
Alright.
Come to the front, there you go.
Jim White.
Oh, yeah, that could.
Southern Stone
That's for the whole team.
Yeah, there you go. So I'll hold that in front there.
I get a trophy holder.
Okay, I'm gonna take 2 pictures. You got it? Good, thank you.
Thank you very much. This was your best showing ever.
Yes.
Major recruiting. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm. Next, we'll have our Teacher of the Year presentation by Mr. Van Sickle, and we will do that.
Sit or stand?
There she is.
In front of toward the monitor over there.
And if you'll take center stage there, Lindsay, with your two lovely children.
Well, first, let me say this is a great honor to present this award to you, because I know we have some great teachers in our county, and you just exemplify our teachers and how much they care about our students. So I'd like to read this press release. Garrett County Public Schools selects for the 2021-22 Teacher of the Year, Miss Lindsay Kreischer, Computer Science Teacher at Southern Garrett High School. She has been named the 21-22 Teacher of the Year. She began her career at Garrett County Schools in 2015. She serves at Southern Garrett High School as a department head, a member of the school improvement team. She's also a member of the First Robotics Team, 1629, First Tech Challenge Team, I'll probably get these numbers wrong, but 12134, and First Lego League Team of 17899. She's a dedicated teacher who is passionate about diversifying the field of computer science. She earned her master's degree in curriculum and instruction from Frostburg State University, and a bachelor's degree in education from Clarion University. Her computer science program is a 3-time recipient of the College Board Female Diversity Award. She made significant contributions to the launch of the AP Computer Science Principles course and the exam through her work with the College Board. In addition to her teaching career, she serves in her community as a foster and adoptive mother and an advocate for vulnerable children. She describes her vision for education as one in which she will foster a strong relationship with students that will encourage open minds and create a culture of innovation and inquiry, which will give students the confidence to see that they have the power to meet the challenges of the generation. Congratulations.
We'll come up. Would you like to introduce your guests and tell us?
Yes. This is my daughter Lacey Kreischer, and this is Bailey Kreischer.
Welcome.
Second and fourth grade at Rockford.
Yes, absolutely. And what she said, she said, did you almost say first grade? Oh, yeah, no, you're second grade now.
Second grade. I was already in first grade.
Now you're in second grade. And they had a virtual introduction of all of the Teachers of the Year one day last week, I think Thursday, one of those days. And Lindsay represented us very well at that virtual meeting, and we're so happy that you're our Teacher of the Year.
Thank you.
I would like all the board members to get up and get a picture with our Teacher of the Year. Try to get in there.
Board members, I'll be on the other end.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Congratulations on moving up to second and fourth grade. Thank you. Oh,
Of course.
Okay, thank you so much.
There you go. That was too long tonight.
Please, you will now be their favorite. Down to apply. Tell her to apply. Ready? Oh, she is. Probably all our teachers are.
Sharing the screen.
Can't go wrong.
Try.
And it doesn't monitor or wherever in there.
Hi.
Hi.
He's coming here too often. All right, it's my pleasure to present the last presentation this evening. National Federation of State High School Associations, NFHS, selected Southern Garrett wrestling coach Dave Taylor as the 2019-2020 Mid-East Section Boys Wrestling Coach of the Year. The Mid-East section of the NFHS includes 7 states in the District of Columbia. And I might add that in those 7 states that it includes are probably 7 of the most difficult states to win wrestling in the United States. Honorees were selected based upon the performance of the 2019-2020 school year, lifetime community involvement, school involvement, and philosophy of coaching. Mr. Taylor was nominated by the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association to receive the award. He was confirmed as the most deserving recipient by NFHS. According to the Executive Director, Carissa Nyoff, the organization recognizes leaders and role models who contribute in a positive way to the youth of their own community. Superintendent Barbara Baker stated, "We'd like to offer our congratulations to Mr. Taylor on being named as the Section Coach of the Year. Our student athletes have benefited from his focus not only in skill development, but also on effort, teamwork, and strong work ethic. These positive characteristic traits will benefit our wrestlers long after their high school years." Mr. Taylor led the Ram Grapplers to the 3rd consecutive dual state championship, and the program also qualified 7 wrestlers for the 2020 1A, 2A state tournament. Southern won the 1A duels, state semifinal championship matches by a combined score of 118-33. Southern also achieved its 400th career victory when they defeated Walter Johnson during the 2nd day of the Iron Horse duels held at C.M. Wright High School. Before the 2019-2020 season started, Coach Taylor was also inducted into the Maryland chapter of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. So certainly, Dave, the honor is an incredible honor. Again, I think those of us who know wrestling know that to win this section is a big deal because you're competing against Pennsylvania and Ohio and New York, and those are wrestling icon places in America. So congratulations on an incredible career. I've said it a lot of times as a person who worked at Southern High School for 31 years and coached there for a long time. No coach has done at Southern High School what you've been able to do. We all admire it. Thank you. Couple words? Well, a couple words here from our outstanding coach.
Well, it's been a pleasure and it's been an honor to coach for this school in the Southern Garrett district or school. It's just been a blast. We've had fun. I love the kids. I love doing it. I love working with the kids. I love watching them move on and what they do in the world after this, whether they go into military or to college or get into business or raise families or whatever they get into. I love watching that and knowing that I was a little part of that. And I appreciate your guys' confidence in me to keep doing it. Thank you.
On behalf of WGW, the Bowl family, the McCluskey family, the Woods family, and Bill Weisgerber, who helped get this started, our families would like to present you with a gift. So if you'll do the honors. Thank you. wrap it.
Yeah. I use newspaper.
Very good.
I had to do a little recon to get your ring size. I hope it fits. Oh.
Perfect. Oh, good job.
There's a ring that has Dave's name on it. It has him as the section coach of the year in 2019, 2020. And, Dave has been a big contributor to our charity. He's, obviously been a person who's donated, but he's also, one time was our MC at our auction for us, and has been there all step of the way to help the WCW. So three families wanted to make sure that you have something fitting of a
Thank
national
you very
person
much.
here.
Surprise.
Sign over here.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Good job. Yeah. All this extra stuff.
Fumble with emotions lately.
Thank you.
Ready? Please make sure that ring is ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not ready.
When Debbie saw the ring, she said, "Tom,
Stay with it.
it's not red." I said, "Deb, it only comes in one
One
color."
color, one color only.
It only comes in one color.
Congrats.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations again.
Congratulations.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Congratulations.
Okay. We have the Maryland Accelerates Program presentation, and we apologize for being approximately half an hour late, but we are anxious to hear that presentation that we postponed for last month. So, welcome. Amy, you want to do the introduction?
I sure do. It has been a pleasure to work in partnership with Dr. Boyce Williams, Rohit Tandon, Annika Meni, Dixie Hebner, and many faculty members at Frostburg State University. The Maryland Accelerates Teacher Residency Program provides a master's degree in arts and teaching in conjunction with a year-long experimental teacher residency in Garrett County Public Schools. Students that are accepted into the program receive a $30,000 living wage stipend and will earn micro-credentials across multiple areas of their residency and internship. So this evening, Rohit will present more information about the Maryland Excels program. InBridge Partners is a mission-driven consultancy committed to helping educational institutions, membership organizations perform at their very best for students that they will serve. The principals have committed a combined 60-year experience in education and business organizations, working in K through 12 and higher education, and applied and academic research and science, as strategic planning, project management, and communications. Rohit Tandon is one of the principals of the InBridge Partnership. Rohit has 25 years of experience working within education, financial, digital, and non-for-profit fields. He is professionally certified in his program and project management and brings a strong background in strategic planning, critical thinking, and the execution to help clients achieve their goals. So Rohit, it is our honor for you to present more information about Maryland Excels.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wilderson, and thank you everyone for allowing me to join you tonight to provide an overview of Frostburg State University's Maryland Accelerates program. Dr. Wilderson, are you able to share a screen, or would you like me to present?
Can you share your screen? If you cannot, we can.
Yeah.
But there you go. We see it, Rohit.
You see it? Okay. Okay. Fantastic. Thank you. Okay. So just a little bit of background. In October 2019, Frostburg State University was awarded a $4.1 million Teacher Quality Partnership grant from the Department of Education to establish the Maryland Accelerates program in partnership with both Frederick County Public Schools and Garrett County Public Schools. The goal of the program is to build systemic capacity and increase diversity in the teacher supply in high need and rural communities in Maryland through an innovative teacher leader residency program. And that, as Dr. Wilderson mentioned, there are several key components to our program. The first is that it's an accelerated 13-month program that culminates in a Master of Arts in Teaching degree. It's an experiential residency component with our partner districts. They have a year-long mentorship by experienced teachers. Because the program is so intense, we do provide a $30,000 living stipend for accepted candidates to help with living expenses throughout the year. There are also opportunities to earn micro-credentials in multiple areas throughout the program, not only in their residency year, but also in their 2-year induction and fellowship program. There is, oh, it sounds like you lost audio. Are you able to hear me? One second.
Here we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what happened there. Did you hear any of the overview?
So the last thing I think the board heard was talking about the accelerated 13-month program.
Okay. In addition to that, there is the experiential residency component with our partner districts, where our residents are placed in a 1-year residency program in Garrett County and Frederick County. There is the year-long mentorship that is also part of the program, and that's provided by experienced teachers. There is a $30,000 living stipend for accepted candidates because the program is an intense program. So we want to be able to provide this stipend to help with living expenses. There's also the opportunity for the candidates to earn micro-credentials in multiple areas throughout the program, not only during their residency year, but also during their 2-year induction and fellowship. There's a 3-year teaching commitment with our partner district. So once the resident graduates from the program, they commit to 3 years with the partner district. And for the grant, our target is 42 new teachers across the 5-year term of the grant, and ideally ongoing and sustainable beyond the grant. So here is a snapshot of our 5-year timeline. So as I mentioned, in 2019, in October, Frostburg State University was awarded the 5-year $4.1 million grant. In 2020, which was intended to be a planning year, we actually were able to successfully launch our first cohort in May of 2020. And this was an elementary cohort with 8 teacher residents. In June of 2020, we identified our external evaluator for the program, and this is a firm, MN Associates, who will be evaluating the overall program and providing data and research related reports for the program as part of the requirement for the grant. In September of 2020, we had our first Leadership Institute. So every year as part of the program, we have an annual Leadership Institute, which is intended to be a face-to-face 2 days of professional development. And due to the pandemic, we had to do a virtual Leadership Institute and break it out over two periods, September and January. So in January 2021, we had our inaugural convening of our Executive Advisory Board. And this board is made up of state leaders, education leaders, business leaders who have been brought together to sort of provide advisory, guidance, and thought leadership for the Maryland Accelerates program. In June, in May actually, sorry, we launched our second cohort of the program, and this had both elementary and secondary candidates, and we had 17 total residents who began the program just last week. In this summer, our first cohort, who is graduating, will then begin their 2-year induction with a partner LEA. So this is when they get placed into their fellowship with Garrett County and Frederick County into their full-time teaching positions. And we're actually having part 2 of our Leadership Institute coming up in just a couple of weeks. And this cadence repeats itself every year. So in 2022, in January, we'll have our Executive Advisory Board meeting again. In May-June timeframe, our 3rd cohort will start. In the summer, the cohort that started this year will be graduating and moving on to their fellowship. And then we'll have our Leadership Institute sometime in the fall, September, October timeframe. And then in 2023, we won't have a new cohort starting at that point, but the cohort that starts next year will be graduating and moving into their fellowship. We'll have our Leadership Institute, and then we'll have our reports from our external evaluators in 2024. And like I mentioned, the goal is to keep this going beyond the term of the grant so that it is an ongoing and sustainable program. There's some eligibility requirements for candidates who want to apply to be teacher residents in the program. So candidates must first be accepted into our regular Frostburg State University Master of Arts in Teaching program. From there, they then decide if they'd like to participate in the residency program and go through a separate set of interviews for that program. Our application deadlines are around March 1st for elementary and April 1st for secondary, but we do provide that on a rolling admission. If we do get candidates after that, they will be considered. One of the key requirements is that this is for new teachers, so candidates must never have served as a teacher of record. And for elementary candidates, they must possess a bachelor's degree with a minimum 3.0 GPA from an accredited institution. And for secondary candidates, this is STEM focused, so they must possess a bachelor's degree or equivalent in one of the following areas: biology, chemistry, earth science, physics, math, English, or computer science with a minimum 3.0 GPA from an accredited institution. Because one of the goals of the grant is to increase these STEM-focused teachers. In terms of some of the benefits for the residents, so this 13-month teaching residency program really prepares them to become highly effective teachers in critical shortage areas of STEM content areas, and they receive a Master of Arts degree in 13 months, which is much shorter than the other programs. We provide the $30,000 living wage stipend to enable them to really focus on their coursework while they receive this stipend during their first year of the residency program. And they can get this stipend in addition to any other financial aid that they might qualify to receive. Throughout the program, they are paired with a mentor or a coach, a mentor during their teacher residency year and a coach during their 2-year fellowship. And that coach works with them to provide guidance and help and support throughout the entire process. We also mentioned that they will be eligible to receive micro-credentials, and with those, they'll also get digital badges that they can put on their CV, on their LinkedIn profiles. It's just another form of recognition that helps them to stand out with the additional work that they've done. And then they get the hands-on experience. As you know, the experiential residency component is a huge part of this program, where they have their personal teacher mentor with them for every step of their journey, and they get to experience an entire academic year from start to finish as they prepare for leading a classroom of their own. And that's a unique component of this program, to be in the same classroom for the entire academic year. I mentioned the micro-credential components, and we have the micro-credentials not only for the teacher residents and the teacher fellows, but the mentors and the coaches are also eligible to participate and receive their micro-credentials and digital badges. And here's sort of the breakdown and the overview of the different types of micro-credentials that the candidates can earn throughout the program. We've got a micro-credential in cultural diversity and growth mindset, in computational thinking 1 and 2, in classroom management that the residents work on during their residency year. For the mentors and coaches, we've got a micro-credential in high leverage practices, in computational thinking and instructional coaching. And then during when the residents move into their 2-year fellowship program, we've got additional micro-credentials in additional high leverage practices. The second part of the computational thinking micro-credential and then one that focuses on teacher leadership and evolving into teacher leaders. And again, this is a unique component for a teacher residency program such as this to offer these micro-credentials not only to the residents and the fellows, but to the mentors and the coaches as well. And as we built out these micro-credentials, we wanted to make sure that it's not an additional extra set of work that they needed to do, but this is really built into the work that they're doing as part of the residency program, as part of the fellowship program. So they're earning this as they are going through the program. As part of the recruiting efforts for the Maryland Accelerates program, we've built out a number of different online properties, including a very detailed Maryland Accelerates website that's part of the Frostburg State University College of Education site. We've developed marketing collateral specific to both the elementary track and the secondary track. Here you can see the website is frostburg.edu/Maryland Accelerates. We also had a variety of different recruiting strategies across multiple channels that we implemented throughout this academic year to sort of cast a wide net in terms of potential candidates for the program. And that included recruiting events with our partner districts. So with Garrett County and with Frostburg, or with Frederick County at job fairs, at career nights. It includes attendance at education conferences and events and talking about the program and promoting the program. We had a number of webinars and virtual information sessions for potential candidates to learn about the program and ask questions. We had targeted email campaigns that went out to different audiences of different types of candidates across the state. We had social media campaigns across multiple channels. We had Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. All of them had specific digital campaigns. We also had traditional media campaigns with public service announcements, radio ads, print ads across Garrett County and across Frederick County. We launched a social media campaign with video testimonials from our first cohort of teacher residents, because word of mouth and hearing it from somebody who's gone through the program is the best sort of advertising you can get. And we had each of our existing residents provide just a little 30-second clip of why the program was important to them. And we pushed that out over social media. We partnered with an organization called Troops to Teachers, which helps veterans find jobs, teaching positions throughout the country. And by partnering with them, we're able to cast a net into the field of veterans who are looking at potential teaching preparation programs, and had lots of traction there. And then, as I mentioned, we had a job posting on Indeed.com that brought in quite a few different candidates to inquire about the program. We will continue these recruiting strategies over the next year and the year after as we ramp up recruiting again for the next cohort. As part of the program, we're also seeking teacher mentors and teacher coaches. So the teacher mentors work with a teacher resident during their residency year, and the teacher coaches are paired with that resident when they move into their fellowship and work with them over a 2-year period. And this is a great leadership development opportunity for mentors and coaches. They also do receive stipends for their time. So if anybody knows potential mentors and coaches, please let Dr. Wilderson know. There are some eligibility requirements to be a mentor. One is demonstrated teaching effectiveness with a minimum 3 years experience, demonstrated mentoring experience, commitment to professional growth with a minimum of 6 earned graduate or continuing professional development credits, and recommendation from a school or LEA leaders on a subject area of knowledge and teaching effectiveness. It's a great opportunity for our mentors, for our coaches, to really help shape the next generation of teachers in their school and in their district. For questions, we've got our Maryland Accelerates website. We've also got a dedicated email address set up for any questions that come in for potential candidates. Like I mentioned, we've got a presence on social media on Twitter, on Facebook and on YouTube, and there are links that are pushed out to all candidates. Are there any questions for me about the program at this time?
So just to reinforce what Rohit described, so this past year, we had 3 candidates went through the program, and those individuals, as long as they successfully complete the program and that they're up to par with what we would expect of a teacher in our school system, then we have an opportunity to place them in our school system. And if we don't place them, then Frederick County gets, because again, may not have an opportunity for an opening where they certificate in, but then Frederick County will get the next stab at them before they can apply anywhere else. This year, we actually have 7. We have 3 in elementary and 4 in the high school. And they're really in areas at the high school in chemistry and computer science and earth science and applied health science. So they're in areas that are critical needs, especially at our high school and then elementary, their early childhood and elementary. So it's a win-win for us, especially being a rural county. And you have someone that's committed. They want to be in education. They're willing to put in that induction phase, and having a partner, that year-long residency has really made a difference because they become stewards. They become much more ingrained in that grade level, involved in school improvement, involved in other different aspects rather than just the academic side. So we're very blessed to be in a partnership with Frostburg through this. And I know it's a lot of work with professional development, but the reward, we believe, will be returned back in a high-quality educator in our school system.
Monica, did you have a
I
question?
did. In the beginning, you said about the $4.1 million. Does each county get that, or is that amount of money split between Frederick and Garrett County?
So that is to support the program. So that money goes to Frostburg State University to establish the program and provide the living stipends for the residents, the stipends for the mentors and the coaches, and it's to cover the cost of the program.
Everything, okay.
Everything
Yes.
is a grant.
Is the grant renewable? Do you know whether it'll be a renewable grant or not?
I do not know if it's a renewable grant. I don't think so, but I'm not sure.
This was the brainchild, I believe, of Dr. Boyce Williams at Frostburg State University, and she's quite an innovative leader at Frostburg, and approached us, and we jumped in, and so did Frederick. And after that, there were lots of other districts that wanted to participate, and they didn't have any room because Frederick and Garrett jumped in from the beginning. And it really is a win-win, especially because we know there'll be teacher shortages, and I think this will, as Dr. Wilderson said, really help build our capacity. And it's been a great partnership. Dr. Wilson just let me introduce her, but she is our contact, our liaison. I do serve on the board, but she is our boots on the ground person, and it is a lot of work, but she's done an amazing job. And we're very thankful to be in the partnership.
Yes, we are.
Are you achieving much diversity in the cohorts that you're getting?
We are focusing more on diversity. The first year was probably not at the levels that we wanted to, but the second year we are moving forward with that. We have targeted campaigns that focus on diversity, and we're hoping to keep increasing that as we move forward.
Obviously, that's a very difficult proposition for a rural county like ours,
Yes.
to attract diversity in teaching.
Right. But that is a major focus of what we're trying to do with this grant and with this program. So everything we can do to increase the diversity of the teachers is part of this, is part of our goal.
There's a billboard on 219, I don't know if you've seen it or not, around the accident area that actually is advertising this program.
Yeah.
And there's another one, I think, on 70 or down the Frederick area.
Yep.
Any other questions, anyone? Well, again, thank you so much for your presentation. We're sorry that it took a month and a half an hour late to do it, but
not at all.
Very informative, and we're looking forward to that partnership for 3 more years, and hopefully it'll be renewed and we'll have a partnership for many years.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me.
Sure, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, let's move on to new business, our food and nutrition bids. And we'll get Mr. Jermaine in here and
There he is. He's always right on cue.
Mr. Van Sickle, we can get home before dark.
Good evening.
Nice job.
Here this evening to request your approval of the food nutrition services bids for this year. You should have a summary report. I'm going to give you an overview. Sorry, I'm trying to find mine. So these different grocery and milk, well, no, milk and bread were extended. They were multi-year bid, so they were just extended. They bids are both directions. Some are outrageous, there's some things that are going down that I'm like, not much, but just speaking, an 8-ounce water went up 11 cents a container. These 16-ounce waters went down 3 cents for the case. So, which they were already cheaper than the 8-ounce. So there's no logic behind pricing right now at all. So there are some things that, another one item that I came across my eyes were barbecue, and we've been buying a barbecue that's made, but we started as a commodity product and then we just continued it. But it more than doubled in price. So that's not something we believe we will continue using. So it gives us an opportunity to say, we either change the menu or do we make it ourselves in-house. We spent some time making a barbecue recipe, which we think we have a pretty good barbecue sauce. We buy some pork, make our own barbecue. So we'll have to figure out which direction we go with certain items. But some things came in fine, some things just went sky high. So it's really, there's no rhyme or reason at all.
Ms. Baker, do you have a recommendation?
I do.
Action item.
Yes, it is an action item.
Any questions?
Yes, I do recommend that we accept the food and nutrition bid as presented to the board this evening.
Okay, there is a recommendation for superintendent. Is there a motion as such?
Make motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Matthews, second.
Second.
Second by Monica. Okay, questions from Mr. Jermaine about any of the specific items?
Have you got any information on your refrigerated van that you brought to our attention last month? You said 25 to 15 weeks out.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's where we are. I'm afraid it'll end up actually being longer than that. So it's going to be a long process, but it'll happen. Being grant funded, it'll be fun.
Any other questions? I know those are, we all got a lot of detailed
Yes.
information. In case anybody had anything. Okay, thank you. We have a motion on the floor to accept the bid as presented. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ready to go? Thank you. Okay, next we have special education staffing plan. Dr. Mangus is here to present that to us. Good evening.
So you all should have received a copy of the special education staffing plan for this coming school year. All of that is based on projections of our student count based off of what we currently know and the students that we know are transferring into the system. As I've always explained, this is kind of flexible based on student needs and students that may come in or out of our system. So this is our projection. We were able to get our student-teacher ratios down this year so that our students have more time with the teacher, which was one of our goals going into this coming year, knowing recovery would be a priority.
Madam Superintendent, recommendation?
Yes, I recommend that we accept the special education staffing plan as Dr. Mangus has presented it.
Okay, there is a recommendation of the superintendent to accept the staffing plan as presented with Dr. Mangus. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve special education staff.
Motion to approve by Matthew, second.
Second.
Seconded by Monica. Okay, discussion. I just had one question, that I circled. The Friendsville ratio kind of is the one that sticks out. All the others are similar. Any insight to that?
Yeah, so the main reason for that is because the position there is part-time special education, part-time intervention. So that's really what brings that ratio down. So when you look at that, it is the 5 academic students. So it's really only 5 students with disabilities for that one teacher. But because their time is split with intervention, that's why it's making that ratio look a little higher.
Okay.
However, our building level administrators have always done a really good job at prioritizing special education needs. And if it would be a concern that comes up throughout the year, for example, if a student has excessive services, that we would then meet as a team and adjust that staffing as needed.
Okay.
Right now, those 5 students, they do have lower service needs, so we're able to do that.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
If you look at, Carolyn, Friendsville, and Route 40 teachers, it says 0.5, that's like half a person, correct? I mean, not, are they there like half a day or has?
Yeah, that's a good question. So they're actually full-time employees at those schools. It's just that their salary is split between special education and intervention. And that is the case with all 3 of those schools. It's a 50-50 split between the special ed and intervention, but they are at that school full-time.
Okay.
Other questions?
So that's just how they're being paid then out of the special ed,
Correct. Yeah, and we take that, sorry, so we do take that into account, like, you know, there are some years where that might be 0.75 and then the intervention is 0.25, or we just kind of base that off of whatever the student services are.
I think I understand. When you look at Northern Middle, like Northern Middle has 4 teachers, Southern Middle has 6. Then you look, Northern Middle has 3 assistants, and Southern Middle has 2. Is that, they have another additional assistant, Northern Middle versus Southern Middle, so then your student-teacher ratio is similar? That kind of evens out?
Yes, that is correct. And then also based on the enrollment numbers. So as you see, Southern Middle, even though they have more teachers, they have almost 20 more students there. So that's how that ratio calculates to be about the same, because even though they're heavier on teachers, they're also a lot heavier on the students. You're welcome.
Anything else? Okay. We have a motion on the floor to accept the staffing plans presented with Dr. Magnus. Those in favor, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And next, we have physical and occupational therapy.
So this is our occupational and physical therapy RFP that we post every year for our school system. We submitted that or published that on May 3rd and then had it published in the Republican on April 29th. From that, we had 3 proposals, and that is to serve roughly 32 students in our county with PT services and roughly 75 with OT services. Out of those 3 submissions, we are recommending that we continue into a 12-month contract for the 29th year with school therapy services out of Cumberland, Maryland.
Okay, Madam Superintendent, your
Yes.
recommendation?
Yes, my recommendation is to approve the contract for the 29th to 30th year with school therapy services.
Okay. You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion?
And we want to accept the school therapy services out of Cumberland.
Okay, we have a motion as such, seconded by Jason. We can have discussion. Any questions about the school therapy recommendation? Okay. Motion's on the floor and duly seconded. Those in favor of accepting the motion stated, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. And you have an award.
All right, thank you very
Thank
much.
you,
Thank
Mingus.
Thank you so much. Okay, moving right along, we have budget transfer request action from Ms. Schweitzer. Yeah, there was the
Not like
budget.
it used to be in the other one, we couldn't get to the middle. Get to the middle.
Okay, so good evening. This evening, I'm bringing, 3 different transfer requests to the board. The first one is to cover, the data for the hotspots that we deployed this year. We did receive federal funding for a large portion of the school year, but, it didn't cover the last quarter. So we are asking that $50,000 be transferred to instructional other communication from special education, non-public tuition. The second one is custodial supplies for additional cleaning, PPE, and also certain machines that were deployed throughout the school system. This one, along with the next one, really go hand in hand with the fact that because the board was committed to bringing all students back whose families wanted them to come back 4 days a week rather than just 2, like a lot of other districts did, it really did cost a lot more money. So it did exceed the federal funding that we received for reopening. So we are asking that $64,050 be transferred from transportation to operations to cover the custodial supplies. And then the last one is the air quality project that the board approved at the March meeting. All but $37,000 was covered through the ESSER federal funding. So we are asking that the last $37,000 be covered from a transfer from field trips to operations.
Okay, Ms. Baker, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, I do. I want to recommend that we accept the budget transfer. Mr. Wazlowski, Mrs. Schweitzer, and I, we were committed to, as Mrs. Schweitzer said, bringing our kids back as many as we possibly could. So we bought we did everything we could to buy the materials, and now we just need to transfer so that we are able to pay for those. I do want to say we did take advantage of the other funding to the maximum extent we could.
Yes, we have exhausted all the federal funding that we can spend at this moment. We have exhausted. So we have spent all of it. I can't stress enough how much more expensive it was to have all of our students back because we had to spread them out. We had a lot more people that we had in our buildings. I believe it was a much better quality product, but it did cost more than what we had anticipated.
Okay, we have a recommendation to accept the budget transfer as presented to us by Allison. Is there a motion as such? Motion by Jason, second?
Second.
Second by Monica. Discussion?
I have a
Monica?
question. On the first one, will we need to put some money for the cost of data for the hotspot data? Mm-hmm. Not knowing, if we'll need the hotspots in the fall or whatever, we might have to, do we have enough money in the budget for any of the hotspots, for the fall, or we have to,
In the unrestricted budget, we do not have any money budgeted at this time. There are several other options, and we have started discussing them through our cabinet, through the superintendent's cabinet. And we own these hotspots, so we can turn the data back on when we need them.
Okay. My other question is hotspots. Did we require the students that had them to turn them in the last day of school?
The vast majority of them did turn them in.
Along with their devices, right?
Other questions? Okay. We have a motion on the floor to accept the budget transfer as presented. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. And that is the budget transfer. And now we'll go to the supplemental budget, which will be presented as best we know what we're getting at.
Well, at this point, this is the funding that we are receiving. So from the state and from the locals,
for the unrestricted budget and then also for the capital budget. So, the main changes with the operating budget, revenue-wise, are an increase in maintenance of effort by $250,720. And then to account for contractual obligations, the board is being asked to use fund balance, an increase of $656,270 to balance the budget. The capital budget revenue has increased due to the legislation, the language in the legislation for the stadium renovations. We had thought that it was going to be $500,000, and then in committee, it was increased to $1.1 million. So we have that reflected here as well. On the expense side, the increase in the unrestricted budget by object is all in salaries. And this is a combination of an additional position and also the contractual obligations that the board has with its employee union. So you can see the breakdown by category as well as by object. And then you also have the expenses for capital outlined for you. And then the numbers that have changed are in green. So it went from 500,000 to 1.1 with the high school stadium renovation. Additionally, we provided an updated Appendix C to indicate the additional FTE in the instructional activity of music. And
Questions? Well, first we've got to get a recommendation, I suppose. Let's go ahead and do that. Do you have a recommendation?
Yes, to recommend in the categories that the Schweitzer outlined for approval this evening. Recommend to approve it.
Okay, so participant recommendation to accept the budget transfer as outlined by Ms. Schweitzer. Do I hear a motion?
No questions, approved, supplemental budget.
Okay. Hear a second? Second. Jason, questions for Ms. Schweitzer about the presentation? So you're saying we went from $500,000 to 1.1 million for the stadium renovations? That's new monies,
state capital.
state capital new money.
Yes.
Have there been preliminary talks about how that money's gonna be spent?
Yes.
Okay,
There
can you share those with us?
Yes. It is divided by light, fencing, and then there's a piece that each high school is like a discretionary piece, and I believe that's 100,000 per. And then there's an allocation for bleachers for each school.
That should complete both outdoor facilities, other than obviously Southern, it's got still massive.
Right.
They have,
Right.
they have a place to dress and
Right.
restrooms.
But yes, the 1.1 will be the first of the several phases that's fully funding what we want to do. We're excited about that.
Well, we are, and we're very thankful to those at the state level that made that happen, because those in our wildest dreams.
Well, and like I said, when it was written, it was 500,000, and through committee, it was increased to 1.1.
Certainly. Thank Senator Edwards and Delegate Beitzel for all of their push. I'm sure they had to execute to make that happen. Gonna be indebted forever. Any other questions about any of the monies? Yeah, Monica?
So will this start happening soon then, the lights, the fencing, and
Unfortunately, it won't. The way that the state capital grant program works is that the legislative session ends and they start doing cleanup, and they send you your grant award. The earliest we've ever received our grant award is the middle to end of August.
So then you complete the application, and you submit it back. It's normally a 45 to 90-day turnaround to approve your plan. And then once the plan is approved, you can put it out to bid, and you get the vendor that you would like to use, and then that goes back to the Board of Public Works to be approved prior to the work being done. So it really is about a 12-month lead time. Yeah. So the track project was about as fast as we could do it. The vendor was approved by the Board of Public Works the day we started laying the surface. So we really pushed that through. So we will continue to work just as fast as we can. But when you're working with the state agencies, they do require lead time. No time.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, there's a motion to accept the budget transfer as presented to us this evening, and duly seconded. Those in favor, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. And that is a budget transfer that's been approved.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And we'll now move on to superintendent updates.
I just wanted to update the board on some key statistics for our summer program. Dr. Miller has taken the lead on elementary middle, and Mr. Edwards has taken the lead on high school. Right now, for elementary middle, it would be for rising pre-K through 8th grade camp from July 12th through the 23rd, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., 5 days per week, held at the northern end at Accident, the southern end at Broadford. Currently, we have 289 students enrolled and 50 staff members who have signed on as far as teachers, IAs, social emotional support, administrators, secretaries, special education teachers. 2nd through 8th grade will actually get a Hickory experience for 1 day of the summer camp. Breakfast and lunch will be provided, some transportation will be provided, and we're striving for a 10-to-1 ratio of staff-teacher ratio. High school will be a credit recovery model from June 21st to the 30th from 9 to 12. That's going to be held at Garrett College. Right now, we are hoping to offer 9 courses as credit recovery, all of which are graduation credits. Staffing for that has been secured as well. And we're currently recruiting students based on their end of the year grades, which of course just concluded. So I can open it up to any questions, and Dr. Miller can certainly fill in any other updates on the summer program. I know the board had asked, you know, how that was going to make sure that we were making as many efforts as we can to reach students that didn't benefit from the virtual program or needed some additional intervention. And I think the numbers look really good. I'm very pleased that many staff members have agreed to participate, and I think it's a great ratio. But I'll open it up to any other questions that you all may have.
So by using one elementary school with the northern end and one southern end, that means the other schools, like at northern end, will all go to Accident. Is that correct? Southern end students will all be in Broadford?
Right.
So
right.
Are we offering transportation?
Yes, I said that transportation we provided.
Well, I guess that means lunch too.
Breakfast and lunch provided.
Is it a regular school day? Like the time?
9 to 2, 5 days.
A little bit shorter.
Right.
Okay, a little bit later.
Now high school is 9 to 12.
So everybody that you reached out to, nobody got turned away. Well, I guess everybody, yes, everybody that wanted to go was able to make it.
We did a registration process, an online registration process, and also facilitated with principals. And we did have there was a deadline. We have accepted students after the deadline, many of them actually, which is fine. But we are at a point where we do need to lock in. So I had sent an email yesterday to principals that today we were locking in those numbers just because we do have to plan for the staffing and the materials, and we're getting ready to do the curriculum planning. So, but we did allow through the principals
added,
students after the deadline, so that's how we got the 189.
So we have from pre-K to fifth grade?
rising pre-K. So our incoming,
4-year-old.
Yes.
there'll be programs for them as well, all the way up to 8th grade, and then there'll be the summer high school.
So we have students representing every grade, is that correct?
Oh, and every school is represented as well.
Any other questions?
I guess at our next meeting, we can get an update on how it went, one for the elementary and one for middle and high school.
Well, our next meeting, we won't quite,
Right, we'll be able to give an update for high school, it'll be the August meeting
Yes,
before we can give an update for.
yes.
and since we don't know how many students will be recruited for high school, I'll certainly update you next month on how many we did serve.
And will there be some data available as far as those students that did register, were they our students that actually needed the additional help? Since it was open to everybody, as I understand it.
So we wanted to make sure that anyone who
Wanted the opportunity, had the opportunity, so we did the registration document, we opened it up to everyone, and then we indicated, there was a spot in the registration first paragraph that said, if we would get to a point where we, were not able to offer it to everyone who applied, we would then prioritize based on need. We have not had to turn any students away. I will say that I have had the principals for the pre-K through 5th grade identify student need, because we do have our social emotional support as well. So they have been sending me their students that are on the roster and what their needs are. And there are students that range we have gifted students to students that have that are more struggling students, who do have gaps, that are in intervention. We have students that have had attendance issues. We have just the gamut, just all the possible scenarios. I feel like we have. There will be a pre and post test component. It's not going to feel so much like a test, because we do want it to make it very camp-like and performance-based. But the state is going to be monitoring our summer programming pretty heavily. They have given us a guidance document, and we're aligning with that as we're building the program. So, but to answer your question, yes, we can have data to look at the students that have needs, and we'll be doing a full evaluation of the program to make sure that if there are barriers to getting those who need it in, that we can rectify that moving forward.
Great, thank you.
Now, we had some grant money to help this along the way, is that correct?
Yeah, we received supplemental funding from the governor through the American Recovery Act. And so we have summer programming funding for this summer, and we also have an allocation for next summer.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
bring you another update next month.
All right,
Thank you.
Okay, we need to do the student handbook for action. Get Dr. Lawler. Looking at the time.
Pretty proud of yourself.
You get a little face.
Out of the back over there, or what? Still waiting for Dr. Lauder.
Well, all right,
There he is.
Good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
Good, you?
Good, good.
Well, I'm bringing the handbook to you for approval, so hopefully we can move forward with the printing of it.
Yeah, we've all had a month to look at that and see if there are questions. Phil, first of all, ask Superintendent for a recommendation.
Yes, I recommend that the board adopts the student handbook for the upcoming 2021-2022 school year.
Okay. Recommendation by the superintendent to adopt the handbook that we were given last month. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Jason. Second?
Second.
Second by Monica. Are there any questions about any specific part of the handbook that, any board members want clarification on?
I didn't, I'm just looking, I remember last month we had, discussion, like you said, and asked questions. On page 4, I had requested add wording for clarification. The statement said regarding credit for virtual or online instruction at the high school level. I remember we had that discussion.
And then that's limited to the Maryland Virtual Learning Opportunities courses that are available through Maryland State Department of Education.
Yes,
That's upon students.
yes, the wording was changed a little bit, yep. I think we're good. Because my concern was, with COVID this past year, we could have the option of virtual or online, being in class, I mean, yes.
Other questions, Dr. Lauber? Okay. Hearing none, there is a motion on the floor to adopt the 2021-22 school year student handbook. Those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. You've got a handbook, take the press. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
before you go, sorry.
Yes, it's last.
This is Dr. Lauber's last student handbook after many, many years of dedicated service to Garrett County Schools. And this is his last board meeting, so, I mean, you're certainly welcome to come to all of it. If you would like to, you're more than welcome. But, thank you, Dr. Lauber.
Thank you, Phil.
And we're running pretty much on schedule tonight.
Eat a little thing.
Yeah.
We're doing it.
Still have a couple things.
Yeah, we'll get there. Okay, we got a board member updates. Got any board member updates anybody wants to talk about? Graduation was incredibly good. It was fantastic, actually. How well it was run. That's a great venue that I hope we really consider keeping. We've got a board member here that's got an inside track to help us. So we want to try to do that. Also, the retirement dinner was outstanding. Great participation, which is great.
It was lovely. It was lovely. And also, I wanted to thank certainly the Fair Board for the ag building. That I don't think graduation could have gone any better for our first time. I thought it was wonderful. And for Southerns, I don't know that we could have fit many more people there. It was very full, and I think the parents and the families and the students were so respectful and just so, it was wonderful. It was a fantastic day. Enjoyed every minute of it. So thanks to everyone. It was wonderful.
You know, as an old person, it was very heartening to watch students be so respectful. That doesn't always occur nowadays. And it was very well done. Every student that was through there was very, very respectful of what that moment meant. So.
And I think they appreciated the gravity of how lucky they were to be able to have it this year. Their speeches were phenomenal. I was a little bit worried about what they might say about virtual in, out, and they all, you know, I just think they all wrote such wonderful speeches. It really was a very heartwarming day.
Anything else?
Just a question, Mr. Woods. Will our board meetings be open back up to the public?
Yes. Yeah, we discussed that. The superintendent and I discussed that we think our next meeting in July will be an open meeting for the public to attend, and we'll make that announcement shortly. Yeah, thank you for asking. But yes, unless something would change, which in this day and age you always have to say that. Unless something changes, it will be an open meeting.
Yeah. We're going to open the central office to foot traffic again as well, so we're going to do a kind of a joint PR saying that, you know, we're going to be back open, and the board meetings will be open as well, so.
Okay, good.
All right, thank
Anything
you.
else? Anything else? All right, we got one more piece of action, and that is ratification of an employee contract. So Dr. Wilson, if you will present that.
I certainly will. It is my honor, as of today, the Garrett County Board of Education and AFT, which is the American Federation for Teachers, which serve as custodians and cafeteria managers, have ratified the comprehensive agreement for FY22. The bargaining units met several times and have reached agreement on salaries and contract language. This evening, we are asking the board to approve the agreed salary and contract language for members in this bargaining unit.
Ms. Baker, do you have a recommendation about
Yes,
the
my
contract for the board?
recommendation is to accept the, contract language for AFT, group.
Okay, been presented to accept the contract for the AFT group, and the superintendent has recommended that we do so. Is there a motion as such? Motion by Jason, second?
Second.
By Monica. Any discussion for Dr. Wilson concerning, any element of the contract? Hearing none, those in favor of signing the contract with the AFT group, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. And you've got a contract.
Thank you.
I guess we need to sign it.
I brought my blue pen, is that okay?
I think that's a blueprint. Just waiting on you. There is, GCPS block 21-22 calendar for us to, look at if we want. That being said, one quick second here.
Thank you.
I will take a motion to adjourn long before sundown. Motion moved by Mr. Mansell, seconded by Dr. Paul. Those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Bye.
And those opposed who want to stay, nay.